going on, Jeromes? So as we Minnesota Fighting Vikings fans know, kicking ain't easy, and there's some traumas and bad dreams. Well, lots of things go on about when you talk about Gary Anderson hasn't missed a field goal in 2 years. Unbelievable. Blair Walsh, Daniel Carlson, what could have been. All right, so there's a lot of stuff going on. That's why I wasn't upset. Some people were upset that the Vikings spent a 6th-round pick on specialist place kicker Will Reichard out of the University of Alabama. Roll Tide. Now, do we just call him the Alabama Slammer? That doesn't really make sense, but whatever. We'll workshop it, right? But we'll work on it. But again, a lot of people are upset about spending a 6th-round pick on a kicker. Yes, he was the first kicker selected, so the Vikings had their pick of the litter, and I think that Will Reichard was fantastic, Alabama man. He was a nail driver. He's accustomed to kicking in high-pressure situations. Now, he's made some big kicks. He's missed a couple, too, but that's all part of the game, right? So I don't think that the mental part is going to get to him, especially if you kicked for Nick Saban, which he did for 5 years. You have to have especially thick armadillo skin, because Saban just never could find a good kicker until Reichard came around. So he was really fantastic. Also, when he was at Alabama, he had an NIL deal with Target/off bug spray. So, I mean, what a perfect synergy. Again, Target, a Minnesota corporation. Also, he just looks like every dad on a fishing trip. Come on, son. We're going to get us a muskie today. I can feel it. It's good. Again, hi, Dios mío. So, the Vikings winning or losing a Super Bowl could come down to this guy. It could come down to this man, this gentleman. Although, I will say rocking 46 is looking pretty good. I hope that when numbers are reduced, when the Vikings go from 90 to 53, that he doesn't change. I feel like 46 is pretty good. Long story longer. So some reports on the ground about how a record has looked at OTAs and mandatory minicamp. This is from an excerpt from the Vikings Age. During a recent episode of the Purple Insider podcast, Purple Insider's Matthew Collar and Pioneer Press's Dane Mizutani couldn't stop raving about what they saw from Reichard out of practice or field earlier this week. Collar began the discussion with the following comments. Holy hell. That's it. That's the analysis. I mean that in a good way. Oh my gosh, he just kicks the heck out of the ball. He was kicking 55-yarders that were going at the top of the goalposts. And then even when they lined up everybody, he kicked it from the logo, which would be 60 yards. And there's a net behind it. So there's the 2 points you kind of look at to give you an idea of how well he kicked it. There's the goalpost, obviously. And then there's a net behind it. His 60-yard kick cleared everything and still landed in the net that was like 5-7 yards behind it. So Reichard, he definitely has himself a leg. Mizutani then contributed to the conversation by raving even more about what they saw from Minnesota's rookie kicker this week. Quote, he's like a robot. And I wasn't out there at every OTA every day of mandatory minicamp tracking kicks because, like you said, when we're outdoors, a lot of times specialists just chill. They hang out, 4 of them all together. But it did seem, and I'd be willing to go on a limb, I don't know if he missed a kick that I was watching on Wednesday. And if he did, he didn't miss many. And Alec Lewis, the Athletic, also chimed in. Reichard, the kicker equivalent of a scratch golfer. When he mishits, you are surprised. Was everything the Vikings hope he'd be this spring, and then some. And, Reichard, so, yes, I understand people sort of apprehensive about spending a draft pick on a kicker. Again, they spent a 6th-round pick on Blair Walsh back in the day, spent a 5th-round pick on Daniel Carlson for, 2 games. But if it solves the Vikings' kicking issues, I'm all for it. And, Greg Joseph was fine in spots, but also Craig Joseph would randomly just miss an extra point. And it would completely change the dynamic of the game and the scoreboard, which is kind of funny. But he was a 5-year starter at Alabama, a 2-time second-team All-American, a 2003 SEC Special Teams Player of the Year, first-team All-SEC last year as well. He is that should say FBS. Really smart. FBS career scoring leader at 547 points. Also career 84% on field goals, and his percentage did go up as he was going along. Also, so a lot of people point out is that his long at Alabama was only 52. I think that's because Saban, who naturally is a pretty conservative coach, I feel like the kick six a couple years, like a decade ago, I think that broke him. So I think that's why he doesn't attempt long field goals at all, like ever. So it's not that like Reichard couldn't boot it in from 55 or 60. It's just like Saban is just like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing it. So quit asking. All right. So I do think that Will Reichard has a chance to be really fantastic, even though he looks 12. But it is what it is. As long as he can boot it through the uprights, I say that off bug spray gives him all the money, and then just go from there, man. But again, we have been through the ringer. We have been through some, well, I was going to say good times, bad times. You know, I've had my share, but it's been mostly bad times with kicking. But if Reichard can come in and just solidify things for a hot second, it'd be glorious. Be beautiful, man. We'll take it. But your thoughts are thoughts. Will Reichard, the rookie kicker from Alabama, roll Tide. Impressing early. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But next time, Skol, production value.